Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back. You are listening to the Mari Mukunda show on Salam Media. This is the Tuesday edition. And because it is Tuesday, we like to revisit our marriages with our marriage coaches and relationship coaches to give us advice on how we can strengthen our marriage. And that's exactly what we are discussing today. Strengthening your marriage or ways to refresh your marriage no matter where you are. I know some people may be like, oh, I've been married for 5 years, I've been married for 20 years, and my marriage has never been the same. Some people's marriages become better with time, and others deteriorate with time. So we are trying to not be those who deteriorate, but who become better with time. We want to age like fine wine, halal wine, if there is such a thing. Appetizer, I think. Anyway, so joining me is a relationship coach, Sakina Dolamo, to talk more about um, refreshing your marriage. Assalamu alaikum, coach. Thank you for joining me.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. You want to age like appetizer?
No, actually, now thinking about it, it doesn't sound like a great idea. So, no, we're going to leave the appetizer out of it. We'll age like fine wine, just we're not going to drink it.
Inshallah, pray so.
All right. So, and let's discuss first of all common courtesy. I know that in marriage, common courtesy and kindness is something that it starts off really good, and then just somewhere along the lines we tend to lose common courtesy. So, is it becoming uncommon?
Assalamu alaikum to Salam Media and all the listeners. I hope everyone is doing well given the COVID. In marriages, most of the time, because you get used to your spouse, just like your siblings at home, we lose that common courtesy. And it's something that we must be continuously aware of it and conscious of it and try to always implement it in our lives, because we do lose it when we become used to our spouses.
Mm-hmm. And how important is being kind to your spouse?
Being kind to your spouse is as important as it is to be kind to other humans. Most of the time when we get married, what we do is that we get too used to our spouses and we start taking advantage of them. And that's one of the things that starts the marriage deteriorating, because when you take advantage of your spouse, you're actually starting to lose respect for your spouse. And it's very important that we look at our spouses not just as the people that we are married to, but as human beings that do deserve our courtesy, that do deserve our kindness. Because most of the time, we start looking at our spouses as just another normal person that we don't have care for, which starts as a string of actually negative actions in the marriage.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, what tips do you have for us that we should do in order to at least to keep the common courtesy and be kinder to your spouse? I hope that we are not going to treat them like a stranger and be kind to them because they are the stranger that we are now treating them like.
It's the simple stuff. Most of us, when we think about being kind to our spouses or showing some kind of romance, we're always thinking about grand gestures. I don't know, taking them out on a huge holiday. It's the everyday living. If you make the bed, if you're the last person to get up from the bed, make the bed, make them some coffee before they make it themselves. Give general help around the house. Given, I don't know, some couples decide it's the woman's job to do certain tasks in the house, but give general assistance in the house. Tasks that can be daunting, tasks that can be really taxing. Be of help. Some women will talk about the most romantic thing is when the husband takes out the trash. Do those small tasks. Those, they help to keep, common courtesy in the marriage.
And it also comes down to knowing your partner's love language, because if you do, then you can increase the gestures, the kind gestures that you do if you know the language. Like acts of service, taking out the trash would be considered as acts of service. If you know that
Yes.
this is what your partner appreciates, then do that small acts of service, and yeah, then you'll see a totally different person later on.
I
Now,
think you've been talking too long to me.
it's starting to rub off on me. Now, what tips can you give to couples to revive their marriage in general? I mean, if you've been married for some time now, you have already gotten used to the person that you wake up next to. The routine is the same. The things that you talk about is the same, and now it does kind of start feeling like a boring marriage. It becomes routine, and I know that I'm not one for routine. I get really tired. I get bored, and it just does nothing for me. So what can we do to excite and keep the spark burning, or rather to keep the fire burning?
Most marriages suffer from this because most of the time when you get used to someone, you become complacent. You don't feel the need to keep on wooing them anymore. They live with you all the time. So you don't have that need of, let me surprise them, And that's where actually we start losing our spouses, when we start feeling that way and we become complacent. And one of the things that we must do, we must go back to our vision for our marriage, because most people don't have a plan for their marriage and they don't prepare enough from their marriage. And when you look at your vision for your marriage, it will keep the spark going, because you want to take your marriage up to a certain level. So, and as we know, those who study business, if you have a vision for your business, you need to have sub goals and tasks that you need to accomplish. It's the same with marriage. There are tasks that you need to accomplish every day in order to reach your goal in marriage. So never take advantage of those everyday tasks, commit to everyday tasks together. This could be from unproductive tasks such as just sitting and watching movies together, up to productive tasks such as attending financial seminars together, spiritual seminars together, So you can just schedule it in, because most of the time we don't schedule things in. We feel like I shouldn't schedule love in, But as we live life and we face many challenges, we find that it becomes very, very important to keep a marriage diary, things to do with your spouse. It can be every day you have at 6 o'clock a prayer session, a yoga session together. Schedule those in, because those are the things that will keep your marriage going. That they will remove the sort of, when you knock off from work, you feel like, why should I go there? Why should I be with that person? Then when you have tasks that okay, every night 6 o'clock we have dinner together, we have prayer session together, we have a book review together, review different books about life, about spirituality, about finances, or you exercise together. It can be very, very fun, and you can look forward to it, that, hey, you know what, I can't be anywhere else at 7 o'clock. I have to go and exercise with a person. It's such things.
Mm-hmm. Now, what about when you are in a situation whereby one partner or your partner does not want to do anything, does not want to put in the effort? Like you schedule the love, but they're just like, no, you know what? We're just gonna take it as it is, and there's love is love. It's something that just grows. It's an emotion. You don't need to put so much effort into it. There's no need for us to schedule this like we schedule a meeting, or we don't need to have an agenda. How do you work out in a marriage like that? And how do you change their mindset and their outlook and let them see things your way and let them see, or maybe not your way, but let them see things in a way of building the relationship up instead of contributing to its destruction?
You know, why do you get married to such people? I'm kidding.
I
I'm kidding.
wonder.
I'm kidding. I I know sometimes we are married to people and we don't have the same kind of energy levels. You know what? The best way is to model anything that you want to. If you want to influence people, the best way is to model the behavior. And perhaps most of the time it can be one spouse that initiate things, and you keep the diary for yourself. You don't need to let your spouse know. All you can do is just make it sound like a suggestion. Oh, can we please do exercises just 5 minutes every morning? Then it doesn't sound like a task to the other spouse. Because most of the time, what makes marriage bad is that most of the time, marriage starts sounding like a task, and then marriage is not fun anymore. So make it fun. Say, just for 5 minutes, just hear me out for 5 minutes. If you want to do a sit in together and watch a documentary, for example, just say, come and watch this for 5 minutes. And if they find the documentary interesting, obviously they will sit there for 15 minutes with you. So you don't need to make it task upon task. Make it fun, make it exciting.
Hmm. I do think that it is a task. It's just that how we work around these tasks that we get on the daily. The task. I mean, we've already got our certificates. It's now just ticking off so we have A plus plus instead of moving down to a B minus or a C plus and etc. Now, what about being in a long distance relationship? How can you still revive the marriage in that situation?
Marriages are a challenge to everyone. Everyone in a long distance relationship, they can tell you it's a challenge. But Alhamdulillah, we have communication devices, we have your Zoom, we have such things. And
Mhm.
if the person doesn't live too far, it's important to make sure that at least once a week you meet somewhere, or if it's not possible, but make sure that you have some time to have that physical connection and meet and sit and discuss. But it's very important to keep connection every day. Make sure that you call each other at a certain time every day to touch bases with each other. Especially, I know due to COVID, a lot of couples were actually separated through distance. So it's very important that we use the devices that are available to video call your spouse. Make sure that you just keep the communication with each other. You can have things that you watch together. Can be watching, and then you come together, discuss it. You can have books that discuss it. So it just needs creativity. The list is endless. There's so many possibilities as long as you are open to them and you're willing to work at them.
And you are a person.
Are we still online? Can you still hear
There's a bit of a noise in the background. I think somebody who's in the same room as you keeps on talking. So if you can just ask them to tone it down a little. Can you hear me?
me? Yeah, I can still hear you. I can still hear you, but it just looks like you're breaking up, but I can still hear you.
All right. Okay, it must be the network. Anyways, what are there any challenges or exercises that you can give us going forward, since you are a person who likes to give us an exercise to do as an idea and encouragement to work on our marriage?
I think the first task is gratitude. If you establish an attitude of
Mhm.
gratitude, because I've seen most people, because of the lockdown, they found themselves discovering a new side to their spouses. So
Yeah.
they started to become too focused on the new negative things that they discovered. So the task that I can give you is that take your phone and put a gratitude reminder for when you wake up and when you sometime during lunch and before you go to sleep. I know I have a reminder for 9 o'clock, I have a reminder for 12 o'clock, and I have a reminder for 9 o'clock when I wake up, because most of the time we tend to focus on the negatives in our marriage. So what an attitude of gratitude will help you to focus on your spouse's positives. And actually, statistics have shown that no matter how many challenges that couples have, but when they have a gratitude attitude, they are most likely not to think about divorce, and they are more likely to think about the positive aspects of their marriage and how they can work on it in order for it to become a better marriage.
Mm-hmm. So, do we need to have a journal for this? Do we need to journal specific points that we are grateful about of our spouses, or and how does it work? Do we discuss it with them? Do we sit down and say, okay, I need you to write down a few things, and you write down, then we can exchange it and read each other's gratitude points, or how does it work? How can we do it?
No, what you can do, this is an individual's task, because these are the thoughts that are going through your mind. So what you can do is that in your journal by yourself, you can start in the morning when you wake up. Three things that you can think of you're grateful for about your spouse. During the day, three things that you can think of you're grateful for. Before you go to sleep, three things that you're grateful for. But as an action, is what you can start expressing to your spouse, that you know what, thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it when you do this, and this will actually help you to develop a positive attitude towards your marriage, because you are focusing less on the negatives and more on the positives.
All right. Hajira Matang, that's Appa Hajira, by the way, who says a beautiful advice, Sisi. So shukran for your comment, Appa Hajira, and also shukran for the advice. Oh, yes, before we forget, there are also things that we should stay away from, the don'ts. So before you answer the don'ts, let me just share the comment by Enver Pir, who says, Alhamdulillah, 33 years and going strong. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy, inshallah. Ameen. Shukran for your comment as well, Enver Pir, and may Allah also continue to bless your marriage. Now, there are things that we should avoid doing, the don'ts. What are they?
Nitpicking, you just think of yourself. You don't want to live with someone who always picks at your every little wrong thing that you do. They're always picking it out. And nagging, most people, they talk about women nag, but I don't think it's just women. Generally, humans, we tend to have this complaining attitude about everything. Stay away from constantly complaining to your spouse or about your spouse to other people. Find more positive things to talk about. Another thing to stay away from is that don't talk bad about your spouse. We tend to always speak bad about our marriages. We speak bad about our kids. Oh, my child is so naughty. You know that my child is the naughtiest child on the planet. You are just increasing. You're sending negative energy and increasing negative energy about your child, about your spouse, about the people around you. Start focusing more on the positives. Your child's always smiling. Your spouse is always talking good, is always kind. Focus on the positive aspects on your spouse and elevate that, and you'll find that even yourself, you'll have, when you wake up, you'll have an even more positive um outlook about your spouse, and this will breed further positive actions.
Mm-hmm. And I think before you can even decide to put negative energy and comments about your spouse and your children, you should do some self-reflection and introspection. Look into yourself and what is it that you are perhaps feeling, because perhaps you are feeling a certain way and then you are projecting that negative energy towards them, and it seems as though it's them that they are doing, and it's just coming back to you. That's how it's working. That's the karma. You're giving out that negative energy and it's coming back to you as negative energy, and then you want to complain to people and say, this is how my spouse is, this is how my kids are. And do some self introspection.
It's true though. I think you just spend way too much time with me.
Yeah, over
But
senior
it's
calls.
it's true though. You know, when you wake up and you feel like, oh, you woke up on the wrong side of the bed, and it just starts events whereby, I don't know, you try to write and the ink doesn't come out. You try to drink tea and it burns your mouth. You know, when you
Mm,
have the negative, it carries on throughout the day. But when you wake up with a positive attitude, you will see a string of positive things happening throughout the day. Someone from the blue just gives you a chocolate. You're like, wow. And you know, these things, they happen. Many people will tell you these things really do happen. You know, when you wake up with a positive attitude, no matter what's going on in your life, something positive always happens.
mhm. My advice for you, if you wake up on the wrong side of the bed, do some dance exercises, because that really gets your energy up, and the oxytocin gets released. You know, those happy hormones. Do some exercises when you wake up on the wrong side of the bed. That will definitely change your mood throughout the day. Trust me, it works for me, so it will work for you as well. Shukran so much for your time once again, Coach, and do have a lovely day.
Thank you so much for having me. And as well, when you wake up, just wake up, do 5 sit-ups and do kicks in the air, something that will just get you into a positive mood. And remember to always, always be grateful. There's always something to be grateful for.
Definitely. So let's us have a better attitude towards the way we view things in life. That was Coach Pumelele Sakina Dolamo talking about strengthening your marriage, no matter where it is, and no matter how long you've been married for, it can always be revived. Thank you for the comments, and if you can keep them coming, you can also send them to our WhatsApp line on 061 766 0355. But for now, just stay with us. We will be right back.